Hello everyone and welcome back to Virtual Racing Project. We're here for Season 5 and it is a first official pre-season event for the series on the F124 game for the first time. I will be your commentator, the only commentator today. I am unfortunately not joined by anyone, but we're here for Bahrain. We'll have a 18-minute quali session followed by a 50% race, and as you can see throughout the grid, not only do we have new teams, which I'm sure you're well aware of, we have new drivers as well who are here to try and prove themselves to the people that matter, that they should be on this Season 5 grid. Along with the new names, we have some well-known ones as well. You know, our previous race winner, Charlie MGO6, in a Ferrari for the first time. We have the likes of Darfifa, who has reserved and won a race or two. Vaxi leaving the pits as well in that Mercedes once again. And of course we have a former champion in the form of Avesta. It will be very interesting today to see how the new game handles and how some of the new drivers will do, as well as some of the returning ones. We've got plenty who are back, especially after a lengthy spell away from the racetrack. Former champion Avesta being one of those, but if we look out onto the track, see Fiella Pro, one of the many new faces around the grid. He's on the medium tyres to begin with in that Red Bull. Just ahead of him you have Limhuiz, and I believe the first one out of the pits and first one who will start a time lap for anything related to Season 5 will be Hazard, the master of P10s. If he is on that grid for next season, we will of course see if he can keep up his impressive record of P10s and maybe get his 10th ever P10, which would be fitting and has been a long time coming. Season 4 he somehow went a whole season without ever scoring a 10th. Limhuiz letting Fiera Pro through, and we will go on board with the Spaniard in this Red Bull. One of the only cars who really haven't changed liveries. A lot has changed between F123 and F124. Don't get me started on the many changes they made to this game. But one thing that remains the same is Bahrain, a reliable track. Turn 1, 2 and 3, Fiera Pro deals with it sensibly. Nothing too audacious, nothing getting too squirrely, and through to the last corner of Sector 1 he comes, missing the apex, but a wide corner, one with many lines, and especially when you're on medium tyres, a difficult corner to master in quali. Through Sector 1 he came, into Sector 2, once again not quite connecting with the apex. Off Turn 8, Turn 9 and 10, the most difficult part of the track. We'll see how he negotiates this. Slight bit of understeer, slight bit of sliding on entry. Fiera Pro, whose lap maybe hasn't quite gone to the optimum, although the medium tyres is a large factor as to why that could be. One of the nice things about the MFD now is you can see which ERS mode each driver is in, as a hazard time sets the 1:31.4, the first lap time off the session and off Season 5 pre-season testing. Hazard time, will his time be beaten by Fiera Pro? It doesn't look like it. Those medium tyres not really having the pace, and Limhuiz caught right up to the back of him, but got his lap time invalidated, so we won't see anything from him there. Vaxi has just come around the last corners, the camera tries to pick him up. To the line he comes. One of the regulars of Season 4 gets himself 2 seconds to the top. Tizian, round the last corner. One of the other new faces in that Haas, the car that won the most recent race weekend, gets himself in between Fiera Pro and Vaxi. Fiera Pro actually did end up coming ahead of Hazard Time, so I am not following attention to detail. Is Yannick gets himself to P2 in the Alpine just behind that. Dalitos is now into P2. Everyone wants that P2 position. Omar behind now goes, guess what, to P2. Vaxi holding on to that position. Charlie MGO6 will set the lap time now. DRS open, and he can put his car P4, the Red Bull behind Night Owl, a former podium sitter, on his few reserve appearances will start a lap. Darth FIFA with a lock-up. He'll follow Bino across the line. Bino comes across. He goes quickest by a tenth, as his teammate Darth FIFA replaces him at the top, and that is by over a second. Very impressive time there from the Belgian driver. A strong statement there early on. 1.1 seconds in front. Louise has once again validated another time, and it's VRP who's coming into the pits behind him. Avesta is on a lap with DRS and Miku in front. The former Williams driver ahead of the former Mercedes driver, who is back in a Mercedes. And he's going to get a very healthy slipstream here. That might actually not be Miku, because he is running no ERS, and it wasn't. Avesta backs out. Here is Miku, the car behind Avesta. He is on a lap. He's on hot lap mode as we're on board with that kick Sauber. Avesta getting out of the way by starting his lap just now, turning that no ERS mode off, and on he goes for his lap. Miku though comes to the line, puts his car into the top 8, with the Alpine behind being Dalitos, who goes again, but well, I think he was starting a lap. He now goes. Night Owl up to 9th place as our order starts to shape up. Dil JG in a Ferrari, a car he so truly loves. Just a quick look at his Instagram would probably give you that impression. I haven't asked him personally, but I'm assuming based off that. Number 76. He certainly is one to keep an eye on, to try and claim that title, which he hasn't come that close to since season 1, where he had that amazing Battle of Lightning Luke all the way down to the last round. One of the 3 times out of 4 we've had a title finale on the last round. Of course, dramatically last season, Harold won the championship on the last round from a huge points deficit to Lewis, who sat in this Ferrari seat last season. Dil JG starting his lap time. Well into sector 1 by now, braking just before the 15-meter board, slight lock up and slightly away from the apex, but makes sure he clobbers that exit using all the track on entry through the S section of sector 2. Beautifully opened up, but then that natural understeer just preventing him from connecting with the apex of turn 8. Avesta gets his car into P2 within a second of Darth FIFA's Daritos up to 3rd. The Indonesian driver certainly impressing. The first Indonesian to represent his country in VRP. As with Dil JG, he's going to have a bit of traffic who gets out of the way immediately. I believe that was in the form of Night Owl. Into the final corner. The Brit. Can he get his car anywhere close to what Darth FIFA was able to do? A Williams off in the background. Dil JG won't matter. That's behind him. He goes second, 6/10 off the pace. But albeit a lot closer than anyone else could get. Fierro Pro, who was the Red Bull who had to get out of the way, is now on a lap, and he's now booted on a fresh set of soft tyres. We will see if he'll be able to get that bit closer to the rest of the field, as there's yellow flags and bunched up in sector 3, as you'd expect, as under the Aramco barriers he comes into turn 11 now, and much closer to the apexes as he was able to get on his medium run. Flat out of course through turn 13, 14, little bit of a break, and then get back onto the acceleration as soon as you can. utilising that overtake button, which you can do in F1 24 on a hot lap. Gets it down to second gear to get the rotation, maximise the revs. Fiero Pro opens the DRS, stays within that bottom 3, jumps Tizzy in 2.3 seconds. He now sits just off of the insane pole time we currently have of Darth FIFA. LMB Strikes is the current highest driver off the running order so far who is actually on the lap. Having said that, Vaxi just starting one and a big lock up from the Brit. We'll keep an eye on his sector times as he comes across sector 3. Into the final corner. Oh, a lock up for LMB there. Used all the battery and almost a bit more, and he does dive into the pits to abandon that lap. Omar, a tenth and a half up. With a lap time like this, he could get himself maybe looking at a top 4 or 3 position. 6.5 minutes to go. Through that penultimate corner. Well, technically not the penultimate corner. This would be the penultimate corner for some reason. But through he now goes. And to the line, the number 19, Omar 07 Arsenal, into 6th place. The exact same time as Bino in the McLaren car. Limhuis is invalidated again, but found a time in between that has taken him to 9th place. TTV Vaxi is not a fan of his lap because it is invalidated. Avesta invalidated his out lap, but he's now onto his main lap. And what can he do, the former champion, to spark a rivalry with Darth FIFA and Dil JG? It was a lock up into turn 1, which is not the way he'd have wanted to start his lap. Can he recover anything coming across the sector 1 timeline? Into turn 4, keep it tight, he does, he clatters the curb and uses all the track on the exit. Avesta through the first sector is marginally down. Spin in sector 3, that looks to be a Williams. It would be hazard time as Avesta has another moment and abandons the lap. Bino rises to the 2nd place. The McLaren car looks strong in pre-season testing as hazard time has no front wing and is keeping his car well off the track and into the Pirelli tyre boards, which ironically will not do his tyres any good. Just looking to see if anyone is currently on a lap. It doesn't seem it, though. We will have a ride on board with Daritos, who is going to start a lap. Other than seeing his name pop up a few times in the timing sheets quite high up, we haven't seen much of him so far this session. So we'll ride on board, using that overtake sparingly down the first home straight. Gets it stopped into turn 1, though slightly away from the apex, so has to rotate that car as well as he can to get the exit, because albeit there is another corner or 2 on that straight, it is still a long way down to turn 4, and the DRS open, manages to get close to the apex and uses less of the track on exit. Into turn 8, braking very late. Down to 2nd gear before managing to get it back onto full throttle. Down into turn 10. Kisses the apex so nicely. Dalitos. This looks like a decent lap from him. Although, having seen what Darth FIFA has said, that's a time I would love to see. A lap I'd love to see a replay of. Darius uses a lot of the curb into turn 13 and manages to set a purple sector there. I did say he took turn 9 and 10 very nicely and it looked very good. He braked very late into turn 8 and he used a lot of the curb at turn 13 through the final two corners, once again using all the track and getting to the apex of the entry so nicely. Dalitos gets it into P4, just 7/10 off of Darth FIFA. 7/10 sounds like a lot, but in this session that's enough to get you 4th place. Avesta back in the pits, wasn't able to go for another run immediately. We'll see if he leaves again though, with 2.5 minutes to go. LMB strikes, using the overtake, almost ran out of ERS on the final straight. 9th turns to 6th. Jumping Vaxi, Omar and Miku. The former Red Bull driver, proving he has some pace to burn and a point to prove. Vaxi on a lap as well. The Williams getting out his way and a big twitch. Will that have affected his lap time? He was marginally up before it, so he might get a helping of Slipstream here behind the Haas. Tizian is just ahead of him. Vaxi though, to the line, just marginally couldn't improve. We'll have a watch of Tizian, who now starts his lap. To turn 1, 2 and 3. The Haas car looking smooth. Tizian needs to find an improvement. He's currently last of those who have set a time. Doug I'll just join the session, and so we'll just about be able to take part. Although he has decided in the pit lane, so we won't see a lap time from him. A lap time we will hopefully see from Tizian, one that takes him slightly closer to the top. Coming across the sector 2 time, and he is up 4/10 he's managed to find. Can he find that bit more to take him a few more positions higher and a bit closer? Tizian through the final corner, braking early, but that's good to set him up at the exit. Maybe got too trigger happy with that power. Managed to get up to P15 as the checkered flag flies. Has a time up to P12. He finishes ahead of Night Owl. Fiero Pro behind him isn't on an improvement. It's Vaxi just behind that who isn't going any quicker. The Alpine of Dalitos is marginally up. Where can he put his car? He's currently 4th. If he can find any more improvement, he'd get into the top 3. He loses it all in the final part of the lap. Darth FIFA. Well, are we about to see an even bigger improvement? Yes, we are. 26.4. Just behind that, Lim Hui's, I think it is. He managed to get up to P6. The 2 Ferraris, one's off the track, one's going for it. It's Charlie, and he gets it to P5. Dylan abandons his lap. Bino is not on a lap. There's a Mercedes behind. That would be Avesta, and he is up on his time. Omar gets into P6. Avesta clamps the curb, goes a bit wide, keeps on track. It's not invalidated. He's used every bit of ERS he's allowed to use. Avesta into the top 5, kicks Charlie out. Miku behind on the Sauber. Can he find the improvement? He's one of the last to go. He gets into the P7 as well. Yannick, the last driver to set a time. He is up as well, but he's used every bit of ERS he's allowed. He crawls it to the line. Where can he go? Yannick Wills stays P14 and loses the time because of the lack of ERS. Tizian already taken his last lap and the fuel completely burned. He will crawl his way back to the pits. Having beaten out one of the other new guys, Fiero Pro, P15 for him. But Darth FIFA looks dominant in that car. Well ahead of Bino. Dylan in P3, Daritos P4, Avesta P5. I would run through main surprises of the session, but I think the margin of which FIFA has topped the session by is a real statement. From the one-time race winner back in, well, the two-time race winner, sorry, back in Portugal in season 4, but he also took victory at Vegas. Bit of luck going his way that day, but he still drove well nonetheless. It's Bino, his teammate for this event. Saturn P2 behind him, DilJG P3, Delitos P4, Avesta P5, Charlie MJ6 in P6, Miku 7, Omar 8, Limhuiz in P9, LMB Strikes rounds out your top 10. Formation up underway, and it's the first chance we get to see of the strategy calls from the drivers, and it is mixed as anything, as Charlie MJ6 is already disqualified from the session. FIFA medium, Bino medium, DilJG medium. The three behind will all start on the soft, looking to get that better start. Might cause a Constantina effect into turn 1, as Miku is on the hards. The two V-Cubs behind on soft tyres. Then the trio of mediums, LMB Strikes, Vaxi, Hazard Time, Night Out on the hard tyres, Yannick soft, Tizian on mediums, and the two at the back, Fiero Pro and Darko, looking to make up positions immediately. They are starting on the softs. Few lockups already into turn 10. Huge cloud of smoke, which has kind of remained there. I think it was the Williams of Hazard Time who caused the lack of vision through that for a pivotal corner. Reminds me of the Roman Grosjean smoke screen. Elite wheel knowledge, if you can remember that. Honestly, it wasn't that long ago, so you should remember it. Was it like 6 years ago? That's mental. Anyway, midlife crisis over, F1 race beginning, formation lap coming to an end, FIFA being able to do a JG onto the final straight, and doing what they can to get that final bit of warmth in the tyres, although Dylan may be doing a bit too much. Weaving away while FIFA already lined up. He's taken the Kimi Räikkönen coldness to another level. Not only has he qualified on pole by nearly 7 or 8 tenths, he doesn't need that tyre warm up as one of the RBs is straight into the wall and reversing back. I don't know who that is. I think it might be Omar. But he takes to the grid, whichever one that is. as a fair few weren't able to line up in their grid spot. It was Limhuis who managed to bin it into the wall and then didn't park in his grid. The 5 lights are on. And we are underway for Season 5 for the first time. It is pre-season testing, but Darth FIFA gets a squiggly start. Bino got a very slow start, and Daritos looks to get into P1 already. DilJG off the track. They're 5 wide at one point, and Daritos takes the lead. The 2 McLarens off, one of them's off. A Haas is round in the background. V-Carb going wide and jumping over the curb. A chaotic start already as the drivers squirm around trying to find some position on the track. One of the McLaren's got a terrible start. He's already down to about P7 or 8. I think that's Darth FIFA. As down the inside and more contact. RB on McLaren. McLaren on RB. Through out the field. Now P getting a bit wide as well. But in the lead for the first time in VRP, Daritos is so far made his way up the field as one of the McLaren's is off the track. That's Bino and he's into the runoff area. Daritos though leading the way, Avesta caught right up to the back of him. DilJG managed to survive the drama and keep his car in P3. Limhuis made up positions, as did the other V-car before slowly losing them again. I say slowly, quickly in the space of one corner. Darth FIFA in P5, Vaxi made up to P6. Yannick with the start of the century up to P7, but he's got wing damage. At the front, Avesta right behind Daritos. So we might see a change of the lead going into turn 1. But leading a lap, the Indonesian driver has done. So we'll get the telemetry up so we can see the ERS modes of certain drivers. Into turn 1, Darius defends by using his hot lap mode, and Avesta locking up all sets of tyres, and they're having to catch it. DilJG right up behind them on the medium tyres. This suits his strategy to the peak. Limhuis having to defend from Darth FIFA, and there was a car going wide at turn 1. I think it was the Williams of Hazard Time who's losing positions. It must be 3-second time penalty already for the driver down in P16 as Bino manages to make his way up to the pits, into the pits. He managed to find the old pit lane at one point. He's now found the correct one. Limhuis holding on, but Darth FIFA giving him a tag, and that tag might send Darth FIFA up to P4. Or will it? Limhuis manages to keep his car ahead, and there was almost a bit of nose to wheel contact going into turn 10. That is the last place really you want to cause a pile up. As battling commences behind, Darth FIFA finally gets his car ahead of Limhuis. Those soft tyres maybe not seeming quite as quick as those mediums. In all cases, we've really seen the mediums catch up as Darth FIFA look to lock some tyres up there. Has a time around. It's not really been his session. The Williams driver at the back of the field is round. Round we go though for the third lap of our pre-season event. Daritos sets the fastest lap. The DRS enabled for Avesta. I don't know if hot lap will be enough to defend, but Avesta not fighting it, sticking in none. ERS. Just happy to sit back at the moment, maybe not battle, maybe not draw DilJG too much into it, as more battling back, however. You can always count on the midfield. It's Vaxi on Limhuis, squeezing through turn 3. Limhuis having to go over the curb. They're too wide just behind as well, almost. Omar backs out of it, going around the outside. Vaxi, can he do it? Limhuis battles him very well to stay ahead. Yannick looking to get involved, and does, ahead with the wing damage. Nonetheless, Yannick is up 2P6. Darko into the pits to retire. He hasn't really done much running in this event. It's hard to really say what his fortunes were like. Omar looking all over the place, trying to find a way past the Mercedes, and in doing so, LMB got the run and couldn't find the place. Hazard Time has crashed at turn 4, and that's going to bring out a VSC, which is not going to be upgraded, and we get to see the first glitch off the broadcast. Whenever a safety car comes out, we get a flashing yellow light. It's finally stayed. There we go. Darko leaves the session. Hazard Time leaves the track. And there is wing damage to Charlie MG06's car, but so far, if we look at the way Yannick's been running and the way Charlie has been running, it doesn't seem like wing damage means too much. Avesta using this opportunity to pit. If ever you're going to pull out a bold strategy, a non-meaningful preseason test, there's a good chance to do so. Limhuis and Yannick follow him in, both on the softs. Yannick with that wheel damage, as I believe the VSC is going to end because it's flashing on my screen again. Charlie not using the chance to change his front wing, stays out, collects a P7 place on the track, but at the front, if the VSC was to end, Daritos would have a comfortable 2-second lead out front. Mediums onto Avesta, mediums onto Limhuis, hards for Yannick, and a drive-through penalty for Vaxi, who managed to speed on the release of that VSC. If you're going to make a mistake, do it now, I guess, before the season starts. Vaxi broke late, LMB broke even later, and he's forced to get Vaxi off. LMB round, a cheeky reset to track as well. LMB, in the space of just one corner, his race is completely thrown in the, well, upside down. I wouldn't say in the bin. It's early on in this one, and anything can happen in a social event. Daritos pulling the gap to DJG out front. A very impressive drive so far from the new face in the league. Probably lighting up the eyes of Bruno Famine, who's calling Esteban Ocon so far, saying, "We found our replacement. Sorry, Jet2, and take a seat." Through turn 2, through turn 3, the gap increasing. There is battling behind. If I could press the right button, I could get to it. Tizian gets ahead of LMB, and there's front wing damage to a car ahead. Fiera Pro into the back of our Miku. Braking that bit later, the soft tyres compared to the hards, and he's gone into the back of the Sauber driver out in front of this Charlie MG06 ahead of Vaxi. I don't know if Vaxi has some wing damage or if it's just the medium tyres, but Charlie MG06 able to get ahead of him and into P5, a race which maybe looked like it was going to be ruined because of the damage. I believe he must have sustained on that one. Is still coming alive. Daritos extending that advantage. You could see why Avesta wasn't so keen to battle him. He has got the pace here. Dafifa slowly getting towards the back of DilJG, who's just pacing himself. Charlie MG06 within the DRS of the car ahead, which is Omar, also on the soft tyres, and Avesta, the first car who was able to jump into the pit lane, is in P12 and just on the back of the pack. Potentially a 2-stop we're seeing now. Well, I would say a very committed 2-stop now for the Mercedes and the V-Carb driver in P12, P13. Yannick on the hards, hard to tell what he's going to do from this position as LMB looks to make a move on the wing damaged Fiera Pro. There's almost a switchback attempt there as TTV Vaxi comes in to serve his penalty, and Fiera Pro comes in probably for that wing damage to fit a new set of tyres on a new front wing. What he would hope would be his last of the race. Omar holding off Charlie, who must be rapid down the straight now, having severely less car than when he started. Limhuis gets past Vaxi, who of course came in to serve that drive-through penalty, and Dafifa now right on the back of that man there, DilJG. His target is set, and can he get back to where he started this race? Belgium versus England, potentially a clash we'll see in the Euros at some point, but it's a clash we're seeing on the track at the moment. 0.6 behind is Dafifa, his gap between himself and the next car in quali. But that gap is ever closing as DilJG makes the mistake, and round he goes. I think he got too wide, accelerated over the curb, and he's going to lose a handful of positions, potentially down to P7 as Night Owl isn't able to get past, or is he using the momentum? He's going to have to go around the outside. This would be a good move. DilJG slightly shuts the door, and Night Owl will stay behind, and Miku just watching that. Dafifa can now chase after the soft-tyred Dalitos at the front. DRS for Charlie. This is the closest battle we have up at the front, bar those just behind. We may see in the background. I don't think Charlie's going to get this, so we'll look behind. DilJG moving across the track on Nightow. Miku moving even further to try and make it through wide. In fact, they're both going to sail past the Ferrari, who's in none, and just kind of cruising his way, allowing those through. Lim Hui's, who for some reason was parked, is now out of the session completely, given the black flag. So a race that started so promising for one of the V-carbs is over, and DilJG's race is nearly over, nearly into the back of Miku, breaking that bit later than the competitors ahead and finding a lock-up, which was never going to slow him down there. But he's already caught back up to the time deficit he lost. Avesta behind, carving through the traffic, and still has his front wing, so successfully so. Tizian and LMB dispatched. Maybe Miku with Dylan can get the move done. He can't. Again, too early on the traction. Maybe a bit of contact helping him around there. But in the Ferrari, he's having a 2019 Sebastian Vettel level of race. Started promising, and now it looks as if his car has got a hand on the back of it, just helping him around each corner. And when I say round, I mean rear to the front kind of round. Miku passed by Nightow. No, Nightow defending from Miku. I thought for a moment it might have been Avesta who may have already caught them, but not quite yet. Just the 2 seconds behind so far. We'll see how much that is down by the end of this lap. Charlie looking to make a move on Omar, trying to fill his mirrors. Couldn't find anything there. Miku, with the help of DRS, manages to keep ahead of Nightow. So up to P5 now for these two on the hard tyres. Going for that different strat. A strat I know very well works. It won't work if they keep fighting though. Nightow sticks his nose up the inside. There is contact between the two, but they will keep going happily in this race. P5 and P6, Avesta licking his lips, hoping now to get past the two of them and not be caught in as much battling as the two just were. Or maybe he will want the battling. It's a bit of fun at the end of the day. Avesta within DRS range now. Charlie within DRS range of Omar, and he's going to get it here. Finding better traction than his teammate did just that lap ago. A teammate who came into the pits to fit a set of hard tyres, probably earlier than he would have forecasted, but he's out ahead of Yannick's AI and ahead of Fiera Pro and ahead of his good mate and former teammate Vino, who is rather lagging at the back and hoping for a safety car. Important question, but it's not that important. But will Charlie MG06 find his way past Omar 07 on this lap? 2 VRP originals. Well, he will find his way past because Omar's straight into the pits. There we go. A very important question, answered in the most anticlimactic way. So I changed my question. Will Avesta get past Miku? He's already dispatched Nightow, and straight past Miku he goes. Nightow, can he follow him through? With a lockup, that's not going to help. He stays behind, rather forced to. Avesta also locked up. This seems to be a big problem for the drivers so far. We've seen a lot of smoke coming from those tyres in the braking zones. Avesta ahead of Miku, ahead of Nightow, and LMB Strikes is out at the position Romain Grosjean once upon a time crashed. There it is, his car facing the wrong way. I'm really not sure what's happened there. But round the outside, Vaxi. Can he pull off this move? It would be a very good move. Fighting side by side. Omar, who's just come out of the pit lane, on Vaxi, on those 8-lap old mediums. He's going to go for a switchback here. Vaxi versus Omar. Omar holds on to the position for now. They're going to keep battling, and we're going to see the result of which in a moment. I have a couple of invites to send to some of the drivers who have lagged out. If I can, not even pressing the right buttons. There is one for Yannick, and there's one to Tizian as well, who I didn't even see had lagged out. FIFA, the gap 5 seconds between him and Daritos. He definitely has strong pace in this race. So does Avesta, who's held off Miku from any overtake. Duffy for out of the session. He did say at one point he wasn't going to be able to finish the race, and that McLaren is now out of the race, off at turn 4. The steward's probably not too bothered about certain things like retiring on track for this event, so Duffy were free to do so and free to go on about his day, as Omar and Vaxi get past that car, and Miku holding on to DRS range from Avesta. He has just fallen out of it, but he's going to get the DRS once more to give himself a chance at staying within. So it's been nearly a commentator curse as Miku gets that rear sliding. It's been an impressive kind of stint from the two on the hard tyres, Miku and Night Owl. Night Owl, the one who's lost out on the strategy of the two, because he is now behind Miku, is into the pits. Daddy Toss comes, and will Charlie MG6 follow him? And will Charlie MG6 think about a wing change? He would think about neither, at least not on this lap. 10th lap for those hard tyres. Charlie MG6 debuting in that scarlet red Ferrari and leading the Bahrain preseason test. Night Owl is out. In the pit lane, Night Owl has decided that his race will run no longer. And well, at least I got to praise him before his race came to a early exit. Vaxi and Omar will not stop battling as he looks to the inside. Omar leaves the door open, but Vaxi is going to do well to force his car that tight to the inside whilst also making the move. The DRS open now for the Mercedes, who looked to through the mirrors and couldn't quite make a move as bold as Omar was maybe expecting. And that traction may be a reason as to why he really struggled to get back on the power. Vaxi is going to have to concede that position and concede that his tyres are not what they once used to be. Daddy Toss came out of the pit lane in P4 and will probably now be the quickest man on track, bar Tizian, who's on softs but in traffic. Miku right up the back of Avesta, still sticking on. I mean, to be fair, at this stage, Avesta's tyres are now 7 laps. They are getting to that stage where the mediums start to grain. So we could see Avesta coming to the pits here, and that would put Miku's strategy legitimately in this position for a race win. Charlie MG6 finally ditches the soft tyres. He's taken them an impressively long way as hard tyres onto the car and no front wing change. Does his best attempt to not do a Kimi Räikkönen 2018. More wheel knowledge if you know the reference. Again, it wasn't that long ago, but god damn it, if you look at a calendar, you have to scroll a fair few pages back. Miku is still within DRS of Avesta DilJG, up to P6. I would probably suggest that he's going to the end of the race from this position. Someone who probably can't. Tizian on the softs, making his way past Yannick. The two who lagged out, having their own little battle now. Fiero Pro just behind on the hard tyres. As Tizian, who was at the back of this pack of cars, is the one who now comes out on top. Albeit he's on the softs. Omar and Charlie. Charlie has jumped Omar in the pit lane. So the overcut working immensely there for Charlie. Wing damage or not, he's managed to get that done. But once again, they're going to continue battling. That is DRS range for Omar on Charlie. And I wouldn't expect any kind of send to be made here from the number 19 RB. But into turn 1, maybe into the last corner, if he's feeling brave, we may see something as Charlie tries to warm those tyres up. Omar trying to look for the best exit he can. They both use none. I think Charlie's trying to play a bit of DRS games here, and Omar isn't falling for them. Neither driver really needs to charge their battery. I take that back. Charlie definitely does. Omar with double the energy, and he is beginning to use it. Hot lap, overtake mode, both enabled. Switching between the two, he goes straight through. Charlie doesn't defend that one. This is the battle that's going to keep going to the end of the race. And if they're both going to the end, if they could stop fighting for just a second, it would be a podium potentially, with Avesta needing to pit again. The battling is bringing Charlie's teammate back to them though. On older hard tyres. But just 4 seconds back now. Dalitos is on for a comfortable race win. I don't mean to commentators curse him, but he is just 8 seconds off the lead and has had that pit stop. Whether he wins it or not from here, he has certainly impressed some within the paddock on his first appearance, qualifying in P4 and in the net race lead, having led every race lap until his pit stop. As we get to that stage of the race where a solo commentator begins to trip up on every word in every sentence. Charlie M. 6 though. In the DRS range of the V-carb, I mean he has been all race, so that's like saying water is wet at this stage. Ferrari versus V-carb. DilJG, speaking of Ferrari, 3.6 seconds behind now. So that pace that saw him qualify P3 starting to show its head. Charlie managed to get right up the back of Omar, but no move made just yet. He's looking because he's in hot lap mode. Will he go for it? No. Back into none at the end of the straight. His intention to back out, and he's definitely been charging that battery up. 70% he now sits on. Omar, the car in front, definitely trying to defend. He's now used down to 50%, 60%-ish. That was a great shot into that corner. I think the sliding made it look better, but that shot down into turn 8 Bahrain was very beautiful. Please EA, I wish to see that camera angle a few more times. Had this been an official event, I could now tell you that every driver in the field currently, if they were to take the checkered flag, they would score a point. But, you know, no points handed out for pre-season testing. That would be a farce, almost as big of a farce as giving points for the top 20. Don't do it, FIA. Round the last corner they go. Will this be the lap that we see a change of position between Omar and Charlie? He pulls out on Omar and gets the move done into P4. DilJG's gap behind stays the same. 3.7, but a little bit of a slide as well. You can see in the background there from the second Ferrari in the race currently. As we get a helicopter shot watching these two lap round the circuit. 0.3 behind Omar. These two are gonna have nightmares about each other, the way they've been intertwined all race so far. Dylan behind, just edging towards these two. 3.4 the gap now between them, so potentially towards the end of the race we could see a 3-car battle for P4, and depending on the gap between Miku and Avesta, we may see some more trying to come through that field. Speaking of, Avesta, our race leader, had to pit early. The VSC took advantage of, and into the pits he now comes locking up, trying not to speed, and he does so. 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. That's the biggest penalty we've seen yet for speeding in the pit lane. I don't know how significant it was, but a 10-second penalty is certainly a new one, and maybe a welcome addition to the game, depending on how significant that was. But he'll come out of the pit lane behind this battle, which we are currently seeing. Omar getting back ahead of Charlie. Avesta will now have the pace advantage coming out between Dylan and Charlie. But that 10-second time penalty, he's going to have to race hard to get anywhere near finishing ahead of the two of them. DilJG picks up a penalty as well. And earlier we saw Fielopo picked one up as well on the last lap, as Miku is now the race leader. Will this be the lap he finally ditches those hard tyres and comes into the pit lane? 15 laps on those hard tyres, and 15 pretty solid laps as well that have kept him out of the front and for the most part away from any drama. Had a nice battle with Nightel and Avesta at one point, and the start of the race was of course very action-packed for all. There's more lockups on those hard tyres. He's about to ditch them, so that won't matter. Miku saying goodbye to those 15, 16 lap-ish hard tyres. Dalitos is back in the race lead from Miku, who will go onto a set of medium tyres to see out the last 10 or so laps. Running over 2 of his pit lane and his former tyre, which managed to transform to mediums. Moving on to this though, 3-car battle. Avesta down the inside of Charlie, locking up. Charlie's going to go for the switchback here. And there's more contact between the two. Avesta getting his way ahead. Charlie trying to close the door. Avesta saying no. Charlie closing the door again because with the DRS he's back ahead. And Charlie is the victor of this 3-car battle. Avesta though, on those medium tyres, surely at any stage he's going to get past and he wants to do it now. More contact between the two. Charlie's off the road and into the gravel, rejoining and managing to not hit anyone in doing so. He kept the throttle in. He took the risk, and Avesta of course now will run away. P2, he currently sits, but he needs to build up that 10-second advantage. I'm not too sure if he'd be able to do it unless there's proper battling behind. Miku, who came out the pit lane, P6, but on nicer tyres than everyone here. Charlie still holding on. Ahead of Omar. And a change of scenery. There's more battling behind, but Yannick is not. Or he is in the session, sorry. Just the game choosing to ghost him on that occasion. But him, Fialapo and Vaxi battling there. Vaxi's managed to get past the 2 of them. Yannick having traction issues through turn 11. But sorting it all out by the time he gets into the long turn 13. Omar sails past as like a speedboat on a rowboat right there. On board with DilJG, we're going to see the two continue their battle. Braking at the 75-metre board, Charlie MG6 puts his car in front and then parks it on the front wing of that Visa Cash App Racing Bull F1 team car. Rolls right off the tongue. DilJG is going to look for a move, had to get out of it because Omar broke just as late as Dylan did. And sticking your nose up the inside of there is not the way to go. Ask Danny Kvyat. We could have seen Omar on his roof. Not particularly that these cars have roofs, but on his head, I guess. Understeer on that V card in the wake of the Ferrari. In a Ferrari sandwich, Miku trying to catch these two behind as well. He's not having to work too hard to do so. He's almost within DRS range. He'll get it on the next lap, probably on the straight just after the one coming now. In fact, he's got it already. 0.9 behind Dylan, he is. So he managed to get a good exit. Avesta with the fastest lap and has pulled 4 seconds to these guys. So potentially then, that penalty won't come to matter unless he starts battling Dalitos, and then I'm sure he'd struggle to put a 10-second advantage on Dalitos. After catching and overtaking, if he can do that. Omar catching, overtaking and getting ahead of Charlie, as does his teammate DilJG, who he rather lets through easier than he ever has done on Omar for understandable reasons. Miku may also try to make his lap just that bit worse. But the Ferrari driver remaining calm as he has done all race, doesn't mind getting overtaken here or there because he knows he can keep within that DRS range and come back at you the very next lap. Tizian, I thought, made an overtake, but Fialapo is back into the pit lane, really testing the Red Bull pit crew, which is good to see. You know, get everyone nice and warmed up for the season. Omar ahead of Dylan, ahead of Charlie, who might not be ahead of Miku for much longer. They're going to go side by side here, nearly. But if... Oh, Charlie using none and being much slower than Miku anticipated. That might actually come to cost the Ferrari driver because Miku's now got the run. Charlie having to utilise probably a bit of hot lap there to stay ahead. Miku right up the back of Charlie, who's going to be looking in his mirrors. He's going to be looking ahead of him. He's going to be looking everywhere. What changes here? Omar weaving to try and stay ahead of Dylan. We've still got 10 laps to go. Dylan gets ahead. Charlie gets ahead. No, he doesn't. He couldn't quite make the move early in the corner, but late on the brakes he goes. Forces Omar to back out, and Miku straight round the outside. Omar losing 3 positions in 1 lap. Miku opportunistic as ever. Charlie with the late and audacious move, which really paid off for him. And Dylan with the simple but secure DRS overtake. Omar losing 3 positions and in 3 different ways in just 1 corner. Miku right on the back of Charlie once again. Sauber on Ferrari. Bet you didn't think you'd see that this season. Lock up from the Sauber driver. Turn 11, they snake through, all within DRS range off each other, and already Miku's looking to make that move. Can he go around the outside? We've seen this last lap. He hangs it that bit longer this time. He's going to stay there. Round the outside, he tries to go. There is contact. Charlie losing the rear, Miku losing the rear, and they are both without a front wing. And Charlie around, and that will be his race done. Front wing damage to both cars. They went for the hard racing, and in the end, it didn't quite end the way they wanted. Omar is the one to come into the pit lane, so I'm not sure if he's picked up a bit of front wing damage in the process. At the front, Avesta and Dalitos. Avesta's really picked up his pace and gone down the road, and past Dalitos he goes. He's got 9 laps to break a 10-second advantage. We might yet see a different winner in this race. Without the speeding in the pit lane, he'd definitely be in the race lead so far and on to win this one. But a 10-second penalty is what he has got to try and make the advantage of. Omar came in and out of the pits on medium tyres. I'm not sure if there was a front wing change in there. Charlie will certainly have a front wing change onto the soft tyres. Yannick also onto the soft tyres at that stage of the race now, where fastest lap comes into the thinking. And with the front wing damage, well, we saw Charlie manage to get on with his race with that end plate missing, but Miku and his progress has slightly stalled since, and he's actually losing time as well to the car ahead, who is on harder and 10 lap older tyres. At the front, Dalitos managing to stay in DRS, which isn't the plan for Avesta. He needs to get himself up the road. Battle between Omar and Vaxi. This is another one we've seen already before today, and Omar breaking up much later than the Mercedes sat driver. Straight past he goes on the DRS. Easy as that. Vaxi choosing not to fight it in his almost Lewis Hamilton inspired helmet. Of course, I do JG with the penalty, so Miku at the moment would be on for a podium. Every driver in the field, bar one, has made up or kept their position from the start, mainly down to some retirements, but good progress from the field nonetheless, all of which have managed to keep themselves in the race. Avesta with a bit of a slide out the final corner, trying to build up that advantage. He's got 2/10, 1/5 of the way there. Although Dalitos pits, the hard's not going to take him to the end. And Avesta right now looks like he's on to win the race, unless Dalitos can really find his time back up. He was slow out the pits as well, so strange decision there. One that confuses a commentator who, you know, isn't racing for a reason, so of course I wouldn't understand. Bill JG, just over 10 seconds behind Avesta, but with a penalty of his own, 3 seconds, so he'd have to close that to 7 seconds. He is closing it though, through those few corners. He's properly fighting the car, properly chucking it in. Just right on board with Bill JG for the moment. It's a very weird driving style he's found himself with. He throws the car in late to the corners and goes full lock. Not a driving style I have seen many try to go with. Tizian with the fastest lap of the race. Miku the car behind. Dilchichi, I did see through that corner, didn't go full lock and managed to find his way off the track. We'll see if Dalitos is able to close 17 seconds to those ahead. Potentially just going for a fastest lap attempt now. Potentially not in a know that Avesta even had a penalty. I'm not too sure how the game displays it on this year's game, when you actually sat in the cockpit off the car. Oh, lock up from Miku. Rear lock up, which almost sent his car for a spin. Same place Mazepin did it a couple years back in Q1. The birth of an all-time meme. Not comparing Miku to Mazepin, just, you know. I'm sure Miku could last more than 300 kilometers in a Bahrain Grand Prix. .1 seconds behind the Ferrari in front. Of course, he doesn't need to overtake. He has a penalty. As long as Miku doesn't get one himself, he'll be good for that position. Omar only 2 seconds behind Dalitos. That goes to show the amount of time Dalitos really lost on those hards. The fact that Omar is now only a couple seconds back from the Alpine driver, who we haven't really seen much of, as has been his dominance. Field spread more than ever really at this stage of the race. Miku up the back of Bill JG, somewhat, you know, just about keeping it within DRS range, so maybe we'll start to see something between the two of them, but a bit of wing damage for Miku really isn't helping his progress. Unable to make anything into turn 1, but he was 9 tenths back, so maybe this is the lap we may see something. Omar himself is closing in on the former race leader. Just a second, 9 tenths behind, 8 tenths behind he goes, as Miku staying behind the Ferrari driver. The former Williams driver behind the former McLaren driver. Through turn 10 they go. DRS still for one of them. And a bit of ERS saving for the car in front. Behind Omar now 6 tenths behind Dalitos. So big pace for the VCAR driver now, and maybe slightly lacking in pace, the Alpine in P4. 4 tenths the gap between both P2 and P3, and P4 and P5. Miku in the kick Sauber. Looking to make the move down into turn 1. Will he find it this lap? He's in none, so I assume he's happy just to stick back, but he might be forced to make the move anyway with the advantage he has. Big lock up, and the move is made. DLJG may try to fight it back, but we're going to look back at this one. Omar and Dalitos. Dalitos going to defend to the inside. Omar's going to go to the outside. And it becomes quite a simple move in the end, really. We'll see if Dalitos can stay within DRS and fight it back. Fighting. DLJG and Miku continuing. Miku's going to hold it down the inside. Will we see more contact between the two? Miku with another lockup. DLJG just coming across and defending that position. P2, he remains. And Miku, oh, I don't know if he was going to go for a move just then or if he had a loss of traction. But almost 90 degrees to the left. Exit stage right. Dalitos has lost a second to Omar already, so it's a weird stage of the race now for Dalitos at the end now. I did once say he was on to win the race, so maybe you can blame the commentator for what's happened. But it is the first time we're seeing the Alpine driver on the medium tyre, so maybe he just has a phobia for them. Miku onto the back of DLJG as we go across the start-finish line. Back in non-mix, so again not really looking to make the move. I don't think he was really on to do it last lap either. But he was forced to anyway because he got too close to the back of Duel, so... The battling went on and contact was made between the two of them. This lap a bit more sensible. Dalitos stayed with Omar. But not really looking to make the move just yet. Maybe some drivers now just know they're within DRS, you know, comfortably there, and just have to wait till the last lap to guarantee that this move will stick. Dalitos now looking like he has the pace. Just through the corners on Omar, nearly bonking his front wing on that rear right tyre off the car in front, who is just constantly saving ERS at the minute, and he does need to. 50%. Dalitos on 3/4 of a battery. Miku on the same, ahead of Dill. I just saw Dalitos was a 10th back then. I thought we might have been seeing a recreation of what Miku tried on Charlie earlier in the race. But not quite yet. DRS for Miku. He is going for it. Overtake enabled. Pulls out early on the Ferrari, who didn't really fight that one. He's going to try and just stay within DRS. If Miku locks up like that again, he'll get back. Before even doing so, Deal with a big slide. Dalitos got ahead of Omar into the last corner, but Omar gets straight back past. Omar had the DRS, so I must assume that he wasn't fighting that one and kind of led him through before the detection zone. Bit of smarts from Omar, which comes with 4 full seasons of VRP racing and the joint most appearance holder, alongside Harry 33, who sitting out of this event today, and rumours are sitting out of the season. No move being made into turn 11, probably smartly so. Will we see a move behind as we look behind at the Alpine, who takes a very wide line, but you can kind of keep your momentum. It's a somewhat multi-line corner. Dylan really not wanting to overtake that Sauber before he gets to the detection zone. He's got the DRS now, and he's going to have the last lap to go for a move. Dalitos makes the move again ahead of Omar, but then they're both backing off. Deal gets through. Neither Dalitos or Omar wanted to take that DRS detection zone first. Omar forces Dalitos too. This is Jeddah 2021 all over again. Through goes Omar. Dalitos will try pick up the slipstream and get back ahead at the front again. 17.5 seconds behind Avesta. Dylan able to make the move on Miku. He's going to go for the switchback. There's two battles on at once. Miku's back ahead of Dylan. Dalitos and Omar are side by side. We're doing our best to show both battles here. Dalitos gets his karma back and hands the DRS this time. Dalitos ahead of Omar. We'll see if there's any battles launched into the final corner or during the final DRS zone. Dill right up Miku. If he doesn't lock up like that, he may have the chance of a wheel spin on exit. He's using the overtake. He's trying to find a way to get into P2 on track. He has a penalty, of course, so Miku will have this nonetheless. Miku using hot lap. Dill using all his overtake. He's only got 20% left. Miku has 30%. There's a yellow flag. That's Avesta at the front. Or the Rebel of VRP at the front though. Avesta weaving to the line, takes race victory despite 10-second time penalty. Miku, Dylan braking late. Miku's going to keep it. Dalitos has broken his advantage towards Omar, who's forcing everything. Wide he goes. Across the line, Miku P2, Dill P3. Dalitos in P4 if he can hold it without making a mistake in the final corner. Through he goes, and onto the checkered flag for the first time in VRP for Dalitos in P4, spinning across the line. Omar P5, Vaxi just behind us too, 5.9 seconds behind, takes a P6 finish. Charlie, a lonely race in the end, having seen Omar for half of it. Overtake to the line, bit of a weave, celebrating his P7. And a bit of traction issues for Yannick, who will cross in P8, a lonely race in terms of fighting at the front. Tizian, very lonely at the minute, 28 seconds behind anyone. But he's sat in P9, VRP in P10. Well done to everyone who finished the race, of course. Good practice and put on a good show for us to see and to learn about how the game handles when it comes to a league race. Very appreciative to everyone who joined today and watched, of course. The driver of the day merchant picks up yet another one. Omar 07 is back, ladies and gentlemen. He'll be fully back if he starts the season and scores a P19, only to go from round 6 onwards and win a race. Ukraine flag on top though. Avesta, your race winner. Holds the trophy above his head. And the Mercedes crew very pleased. We'll see maybe if Mercedes think, we'll take our former driver back and see if he can get his second world title in a virtual racing project. It's James Allison looking very, very creepy there. But there is your final race results. Avesta, Miku, Dill, Dalitos, Omar, Vaxi, Charlie, Yannick, Tizian and VRP managing to take the checkered flag. We saw early retirements for Limhuis, who was actually disqualified. Darkolt, Hazard Time, LMB, Bino Dub FIFA, Night Owl retiring mid-race as well. Fastest lap went to Tizian at the end. We saw some fun battles, and I hope that is a good enough teaser for you to join us for the start of the season. Round 1 should be commencing within the next couple of weeks, so keep your eyes peeled on that. We'll see if the admins can pin down a start date, having learnt from this pre-season event. But yeah, thank you for joining us today. Hope you enjoyed the race. We will see you next time out, wherever that may be, for round 1 of season 5. Goodbye.